Hey everybody, thanks for joining us here on the inaugural first podcast for Solitude and Solitude Origins. Some of you guys are wondering, what in the world's going on, how come and why are we doing all this? It's been quite some time. We've had a lot of ideas and thoughts to bring all of the material together in one site, but after however many decades, we finally managed to put some things together. That's what Solitude Origins is about, is bringing all of the Solitude material that's over the years collected to one place where the fans can actually get to it. And it's been difficult. It's been a long road for us, but we're slowly trudging through it. A lot of you guys are wondering, what in the world, who's running what, how come and why. We'll get to that here in a little bit. But let me introduce myself. My name is Steve Moseley. I've been playing guitar with Solitude, for almost 3 decades now, about 26 years or so. The band started, and 5 years later or so, I was in the band. Anyway, so there was quite a bit of music done, early on, but once the Adagio album had come out, prior to that, I began playing and touring and writing songs with Solitude shortly thereafter. So I appeared on tour, and then with the Adagio album, and then alone. And anyway, we'll get to all that soon enough. But for right now, we're going to focus on how come and why. What is our purpose here today? To bring you guys the information about the band. Our goal going forward is to provide all those things that we've been missing. Not only a house, home base, if you will, that contains and archives all of the materials and outtakes and liner notes and stories and pictures and flyers and memorabilia and paraphernalia and whatever else from the band, but also the music. So it's going to take us a bit to get some music going, but and we'll get to that also, what we're doing. But once again, my role in all of this is not just, as a guitar player. We haven't done a whole lot with the band as of late, but going forward, there's been a lot of music back and forth with different projects, guest appearances here and there, and just, a song here, song there, riff there, that kind of thing. That kind of led to putting the studio together. So the studio here is that we've got, Blackout Recording Studio, is a collaboration between myself and Kurt Joye. So Kurt Joye's here with me, as you can see, and that is certainly a worthy introduction to how I got in the band and how I got involved with Solitude to begin with. So back, that was 96 or so, 97, late 96. Well, let's start before that. How did I get involved with John Perez? So in high school, Kurt and I go back quite a ways. I would say, let's see, that's what, 30,
10th grade?
Yeah.
10th grade, we've gone back to 10th grade.
A long way, so 30-something years now. He had introduced me to a gentleman by the name of Steve Johnson. And Steve Johnson ended up playing bass with me in quite a few different projects, and still plays a lot of music around town. But we had some projects together that were based in Arlington and Irving here in Texas. And John Perez, who is the founding member of Solitude, you guys already know, was at the time working in music stores, record stores. And he did that on and off for different record stores over the years. At that time, when we were in school, he was working in the most prominent, what we'd call the underground connection, if you will. There were record stores, but you really couldn't get any of the cool stuff, from any of those places. You had to go visit John. So Johnson introduced me to Perez at the record store, and that began a relationship of just going up there and buying music. And as a matter of fact, Perez was the one that introduced me to a lot of bands indirectly. He had sold Kurt some Candlemass and some Count Raven, and I could just go on and on and on with all these different bands that once again came through John Perez and his position there at the record stores. And fast forward many years later, I had played music once again, as I mentioned, with Steve Johnson, who the drummer in that band was John Covington. So we had a project going with Mike Smith and Steve Johnson, myself, and John Covington called Hyde. And it was kind of short-lived for us, or at least my part in the band, as things kind of started to fizzle a little bit, and Covington got the offer to audition for Solitude for Perez. So he went on over to Solitude, and that was, gosh, I'm not sure what year, probably 90, 89, 90. No, it's probably 90 or so. And within, like I said, 91, they're already in the studio. 5 years later, Covington's calling me, asking me if I'd like to take part in some of the music. And that led to me joining the band somewhat apprehensively as the bassist, as I wasn't a bass player. But I enjoyed the music so much that I decided to give it a go. And we formed a relationship, and I got in the band, and well, here we are years and years later. So the main reason I wanted to mention that is my involvement with Solitude originated with Kurt Joye. Kurt had introduced me to Steve, who had introduced me to Perez, and well, there you go. Around town, it was just one of those things. We all kind of knew each other, underground bands and rehearsal studios and things like that. Kurt rehearsed with his band Arcane just down from where we rehearsed and for years, and then we rehearsed at another location, and they were rehearsing over there, and it was just Johnson rehearsed in this band over there. Anyway, it was a big giant family of lots of metal musicians, back in the day. So what are we doing here? So that we got that story out of the way. What are we doing here? I'll let Kurt kind of take over there, and he could tell Kurt your part in the band. How you got involved with us and all that.
Well, once again, I'm Kurt Joye, and helping Solitude get everything out again and reeling it all in. I started. I guess, gosh, I've known Steve since high school, as he was saying before, and I played in a local band, Arcane, and we did a lot of shows with Solitude. Very familiar with John, many years. Everybody in the band, really good friends with. We played a number of shows with. Years down the road, Arcane broke up, and I was still playing and doing some stuff, and an opportunity came up when Edgar left the band, and they were in the middle of, they had finished Adagio and were getting ready to start working on Alone. There wasn't even a name for it at that point. It was just some music they were putting together. And so I kind of stepped in and helped out with that, and was in the band. We played a couple of shows together. We played a Chicago Metal Fest.
Yeah, we played some cool shows.
Yeah, and it was short-lived. I ended up having to leave. I'm a single parent at the time, and just family came first, and so I ended up dropping out. And then shortly after that, they asked James Martin to join the band, and so so there's the history with how James got into the band. Basically, what we're doing is we are bringing all things Solitude to Solitude Origins, all things new, all things old, all things Solitude. We're kind of wrangling everything in, and we want to give you some new old music to listen to. We want to give you some new videos. We want to do some new things and just revitalize what's going on with Solitude and bring the origins of that back together. Hence the name Solitude Origins, starting back from the very beginning. Before it was Solitude Aeturnus, it was Solitude, and so that's why we started with Solitude Origins, and that's why our Facebook is Solitude, right? And So that's kind of what we've been doing. We've been remastering some music. Hopefully we're going to have some music out to you here pretty soon. Mm-hmm. And, I know a lot of people been making money off of Solitude, everybody except the band. You know how it is if you're in the music industry, especially if you're a smaller type band. If you put out a couple of albums, you're lucky to see any of the returns on any of that. And so, at this point, if you really want to support Solitude and support the band members and support projects that we're doing, we really need you to support Solitude Origins. That's really important to help us out, to help you out, so we can get the music to you, the fans that really want to hear it, the fans that really are here, the fans that are watching right now. Those are the people we're looking to please.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about how all this got wrangled into where we're at. So I've been working closely with John Perez for many, many years, and we've talked back and forth regarding, wrangling all this stuff, under one umbrella, under one house. And so this isn't something that, just started haphazardly. A lot of you guys are probably wondering, why John isn't here. John's not here because John's pretty busy. John stays busy in the music industry more so than, everyone I know combined. He's always been well connected within the industry. And guys that know him, you know that. So he's got his own projects, he's doing his own thing, but we stay in contact, as frequently as we can about what's going on. And that's something that we discussed that we wanted to do, is try to get all this stuff wrangled together, and as I mentioned, and in one location where you can go and see and purchase things that you enjoy. But for us, it wasn't about just removing the products from those that are unauthorized or shouldn't be selling it, but more importantly, being able to archive the material for future fans. It really was more a labor of love than anything else. Our decision to put these things together and have a place for everybody to come to that enjoys the music. But once again, Solitude Origins is the official page for Solitude Aeturnus. And as I mentioned, working closely with John Perez, I've managed to come across a lot of material in terms of media, flyers and pictures and cassette recordings and vinyl productions and outtakes and liner notes, and I've just got tons and tons and tons of material to get to you guys over the next weeks, months, and years. But also Perez is sitting on a mountain of stuff, from ages ago that we'd like to get together and get in a better format that is accessible for you guys. We've got stuff on, you name the format, we've got it, man. Everything from digital audio tape to high 8 to 8-track and cassettes, and so it's going to take a little while for us to compile all this and get it into a form of media that is accessible over the internet. But that's what we're working on. It's going great. We have to focus on the things that are happening and prominent right in front of us, at the moment. And we'll get to that a little bit later. What exactly we've been working on, but let's just say we've been working on some good stuff for quite a while. And we didn't want to launch this podcast without having some things available for you. So we do. There's not only some little teaser things up on the website as Kurt continues to populate the pages with either pictures of flyers and other forms of media, but
I'm the Facebook guy.
Yep, he's heading it up for us, which we're really fortunate. We're thankful to have somebody that knows what they're doing with that stuff to wrangle it all in under, once again, one umbrella. As Kurt mentioned, it's been out there for years that all this material, everybody and their dog's selling it, and we're hopefully wanting to try to get a little control over that. At John Perez's request, we'd like to shut down some of the folks that are just willy-nilly selling it here and there, making money while we continue to work other jobs to support our families and things like that. So once again, it's not an attempt to replace our jobs and or anything like that. It's more of a supplement our income by making sure that the money goes back into Solitude. And that's really the goal. If you purchase any authorized, licensed material from Solitude Origins, not only are you ensuring that you're receiving the real deal, but all the money that you spend with those kinds of purchases directly from us goes right back into the band. So we're not sitting around hurting trying to think of how we're going to get our next meal. We're wanting that money to put back into the studio to put out more stuff for the Solitude Origins website, Facebook, whatever other forms of media. That's really the goal with the money, is not to like I said, buy a bunch of more guitars. We got plenty of guitars and plenty of all that stuff. We want to put the money back into the website and into the studio in order to either remaster, remix, or provide deluxe editions of a lot of the music you guys have been listening to for, well, many, many years.
And we've got enough going on. I mean, we're in contact with Robert. He comes over here a lot. Yep. We've been doing some vocals for him. I'm really excited about that. He's got some really good projects coming on, and we're working with him as well. And we'll see how everything goes. We've got some new music coming out too, that we're working on, new material. The whole idea of doing all this is for the fans of Solitude Aeturnus. That's really what it's about, making sure that you guys get authentic, good Solitude stuff that is from the band, right? And not from some guy in some dark corner somewhere making t-shirts, or somebody selling something that's not authorized by the band. We really want to do the fans right, and by doing that, it's going to make it right with the band as well.
Yeah, that's correct. There's just been years and years and years of everybody plagiarizing and taking advantage of using the Solitude name in order to either sell t-shirts or coffee mugs or calendars or lunch boxes or action figures or whatever else, all kind of stuff. And it's to be expected. We haven't done our due diligence in terms of getting all that stuff wrangled in and trying to keep an eye on it and trying to keep it under control. So it's just, it's out of control. It's been out of control for a while. A lot of folks have been asking about, what in the world's going on with Concept of God. The same kind of thing. It was 23 years ago when I wrote that material and began recording that album. And as many of you know, that was a side project of mine that happened, during the little hiatus there that Solitude had between Adagio and Alone. And it just so happened, a lot of you are familiar with that story, but it just so happened that Robert had some lyrics that he was working on for, I guess, that perhaps weren't specifically designed for or didn't work that well for Solitude. Maybe it was the approach or lyrical content. I'm not sure. Either way, we decided to collaborate, and that's how Concept of God was born. Concept of God, once again, is a side project consisting of current and past members of Solitude Aeturnus. So I had worked with James Martin for years prior to that, on and off with different projects here and there. We've never really got anything off the ground, but we always had a great time playing. He came in after our original bass player in the project, Riverton Nell, who I'd played with for many years in other projects. He ended up leaving, so James came in, and that began the process of getting the songs together for Concept of God. Concept of God, once again, is myself on guitar, Robert Lowe on vocals, James Martin on bass, and John Covington the former drummer of Solitude Aeturnus on drums. So that project initially went to the studio late 99, 2000. We began recording, didn't really finish up the recordings. Most of it was done 2001, but then it kind of sat under the bed for about 6 years. We got busy doing things, didn't have the finances. A lot of folks don't realize just how expensive it is to do all that when you're the engineer and the producer and the mixer and the master and the composer and the financier and the truck driver and the, whatever else. So once again, it did take some finances, but we just weren't sure about licensing and labeling. And long story short, the folks at Massacre were pretty cool to us, and we ended up licensing it to them and releasing it in 2007. So that's been quite some time ago. There's a website associated with Concept of God, which is conceptofgod.com. It's been up and running for almost 2 decades now, but it is a little dated. So we're working on that. We're going to revamp and revise and regroup, and that website is going to be refreshed, and we'll have a new page coming up with that as well. We recently took the existing music and decided to use it as a guinea pig or testing ground to get back into the industry in regards to distribution and a few other things independently. So getting the songs registered and done properly has been a long, extensive process for us, and we've learned a lot. When you're working things by yourself, it not only is time consuming if you're obviously supporting yourself with other means. We all have other jobs that we do. So it's taken a little while, but what we've managed to do is get that product, the Concept of God music, onto DistroKid, which has in turn distributed that, allowed us to stream via iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon, Spotify. We could go down the list, all kinds of other streaming services that are now providing Concept of God to the rest of the world. So that's a good thing. So it's back. So now you can stream the Concept of God. A lot of folks ask me, what in the world happened? How come? Why did it go down? Who in this? Who did that? What? And well, let's just sum that up. Long story short, I never did put the Concept of God out for any streaming services or online or anything like that. That was done by an unauthorized person somewhere on the other side of the planet. So it took me a couple of years contacting, Apple Music and iTunes and all those folks there, trying to convince them that I am who I say I am. And, well, they eventually pulled it down, only to see it go right back up by someone else. So we won't get into the details of that. Let's just say that it was a long process getting it to where it is now, which does involve having the distribution through DistroKid. So they've helped out in terms of, like I said, shutting down all those folks that are streaming it illegally without our consent, and managed to put it back up there properly. So once again, don't forget, conceptofgod.com. We'll be refreshing and revamping and redesigning that website and providing direct access for you guys to the music. You don't have to go to iTunes. You don't have to go to Apple Music or Spotify or Amazon or this and that. You can actually go directly to us. And why would you want to do that? Well, a lot of folks don't even think about that either. When you think about want some new music, think about going to the music places. Why not go directly to the band? What a novel idea. If you go directly to the band, the majority of the money that you spend, of that 99 cents, whatever it is for the track, goes back to us. Once again, we're going to sink that into more gear and equipment and processing and deluxe edition and revised, revamped, remastered, remixed, types of products and other media that we're digging out of the suitcases from underneath the bed in Grandma's closet going forward. That's what that money will help us do. We may consider some crowdfunding for some other projects down the road, but we'll get to that then. everybody will be certainly informed through the websites, either conceptofgod.com or Solitude Origins.
Well, I tell you what, Steve, let's go ahead and take a break.